Welcome back. Now in this video we will simply start working right on this method, submit form on sign up. So it will simply submit the form for the sign up whenever the user will click right in this button. So let's go and create that method right above the widget build. There we go with the widget build, and above right in here. So we're gonna say white and it's gonna be private, and we will name this as a submit, as you guys know, form on sign up, and this will be asynchronous. Now first right in here we will create a variable by the name is valid, in which we will assign simply whenever the sign up form will be successful, it will be right inside that. So let's move further. Now in here we will say sign up form key, the global key that we created before, dot with the current state null check dot validate. This is going to be validate that. Then simply we're going to assign that right in this variable. Right after, now we will say if this valid, then right in there we will also check if the image file, if it's content or not. So simply in here we will check that if the image file is equal to null. So if there will be no image file, then we will simply show some error dialog. So before we created that, and here we will use that global method, there we go, dot show error dialog. It's going to take error and the context, as you guys can see right in here. We will remove that for now, we will add it just in a while. So we will take this down. Now simply error, we will show that text please pick an image. If there will be no image, then we will show that. And right after contacts, there we go, all good. And that show error dialog we just implement right in the service folder, and that dot file global methods, there we go with the global method, and there is the show error dialog that we just implemented before. Now in here we just use that. So we will show that text whenever there will be no image file, if it's equal to null. And right down in here we will simply return this fine in here. Now right down below we set state. What we will do, we will simply take this down, and we're gonna then set the is loading to true. That's fine right in here. Now right after we will simply say in here try, and down in there what we will do is simply say await first, and then first we will go right at top and we will create the Firebase auth instance. So let me check that. Right down below this image file, in here we will say final, and let's create that instance Firebase auth. Gonna name this as a auth. It's gonna be private, as you guys can see. And then what we will do, we will say Firebase auth dot instance. Now we will simply use that. Let's go down and right in here with the avid underscore auth, there we go, and in there we will simply say create user with the email and password. Now we're gonna authenticate the user with their email and password. Simply remove that, we will add it just in a while. First in here and the semicolon, take this down. In here email text controller, there we go, dot text and dot trim dot to lowercase. I have already explained that right in the login screen, so there is no need of that to explain it again. And then we will go to where is the pass text controller dot text dot trim. So it's gonna simply authenticate the user with their email and password as I told you before. All fine. Now right after we're gonna create the user. We'll say file user, type user, in which we will simply say auth.current user. So we just simply assign the authentication for the current user to this user, and right after we will say underscore UID, in which we will assign the user with their specific UID, and you guys can see that right in here. We just assign that in the UID. As you guys can see right in here, for now we just implement the user class, in which we just assign the current user authentication right inside that type user, and then we create the UID, in which we simply assign the specific UID for the current user, and it's right inside the UID. Now right after we will simply create a reference by the name ref, and which we will simply assign the Firebase storage. There we go, dot instance and ref, there we go. We will say dot child, and now we will simply create a new folder by the name of user images. It will be simply right inside the Firebase storage. So in here, let us go and create that user images. So that's the name of the folder that we are about to create right in the Firebase storage, in which we will simply store the image for that current user. Let's say if the user upload the new picture right in here, and whenever he or she will done with this fields, and then if they click on this sign up, we will simply assign the image to the Firebase storage, and right afterwards we will simply create a instance to the Firebase Firestore, in which we will assign that data. So first we will work right on the Firebase storage, and right in here we are about to implement this folder right inside the Firebase storage, in which we will simply upload the images of a current user. So in here right after we will say dot child, okay, and then in here with the specific UID, there you go, and then concatenation sign, and then the type is gonna be for that image dot JPG. All fine right in here. Let's go further, and now we will say await, and with the help of that reference, in which we just assign that. Okay, now it's assigned right inside this ref. So with the help of that ref, what we will do, we will simply put the file, and it's going to be the image file. So there we go. In here null check. So it will simply, as I tell you, will put the file with the help of the reference right inside the Firebase storage and in the folder by the name of user images, as you guys can see right in here, and with the specific UID, and their image type will be .jpg. So that's fine right in here. Let's move further. Now the first thing what we will do, we will also get the image URL. So how can we get the image download URL? First we will go right at top and create a variable by the name of image URL, in which we will assign the get download URL for that current image. So in here we will say string type. We're gonna name this as an image URL. That's fine right in here. Now let's go down and work on that. So right in here we will say image URL, and now we will say await. Then with the help of that reference, that one in which we just assign all of this thing, so with the help of that we will get the download URL for that image. So we will say get download URL. There we go. It's gonna simply get the URL for that current image and gonna assign that URL to this string type variable image URL. So the URL gonna be right inside that string type variable. So there's all the working for just uploading the image of a current user to the Firebase storage, as you guys can see right in here. Now let me tell you one more time. So in here, as you guys already know, we will simply authenticate the user with their email and password. Right after we create a user class type user, in which we simply assign the authentication for that current user right inside that type user. And then right in here we simply create the UID, in which we assign the specific UID for that user and assign it to this UID. And right afterwards in here we create a ref, in which we simply just assign the Firebase storage. Okay, and then we say .instant.reference. We create that reference and we simply create the folder by the name user images right inside the Firebase storage with the help of reference. And then what we have done right in here, we simply say .child with the specific UID, and then we simply say the image type, and you guys can see that here .jpg is gonna be that. And then right afterwards it's gonna simply, in here we just put the file, image file, right inside the Firebase storage with the help of that reference that we just created. Okay, and also in the folder of user images, and there's going to be that image and their type .jpg. Now right afterwards what we did right in here, we simply get the download URL with the help of that reference. Okay, and we just assign that URL to the string type variable. Okay, so I hope you can get the idea now.